You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Welcome to the One More for the Good Guys podcast, where good guys gather to shed light on the good life, the people, and the good things that make it that way. I'm Mike McGill with my co-host, Jamie Akins. Now, raise your glass, lend us your ear, and let's have one more for the good guys. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find. Hey, everybody, McGill Billy here.
I'm Jamie.
Welcome back to One More for the Good Guys. We're your old buddies coming at you live here from the honky tonk. Thanks so much for all the support. We go through this each week. Man, without your all support of liking, following, and subscribing to everything from the social media pages to the YouTube channel, we wouldn't be here without you. Or we would, but we wouldn't get to talk to nobody. So you're very important to our growth, and those things actually help the channel. And it's a free way to help the channel. So thank you for that. Be sure to do all those things if you haven't done them yet, and get us to a friend who might have a hankering for two big hairy hillbillies talking some stuff about cigars or music or
whatever,
or life or anything including. But any rate, thanks again. We're glad to have you back. We're excited about the Christmas season. We'll talk to you a little bit about that at the end of this episode. But we're also excited about 10 things every cigar smoker should know. We've had a string of guest episodes here lately, and we started this, I don't know, a month ago probably.
Yeah, right at it.
And we got through 1, 2, and 3, and now we're up to 4. Imagine that. We can count to 4. I don't know what we're going to do after we get this many.
Get somebody to count for us.
Preferably not a Yankee fan, because they couldn't do it in 5. Any rate.
That's right.
Oh!
Shit.
No worries. The number 4 thing that cigars, easy for me to say, number 4 thing cigar smokers should know is that, should we recap the first?
Sure.
The first 3? Yeah. The first one was that, cigars are a handmade and completely natural and artisanal product. We've said it many times during that episode as well as others, but it is the most 100% unadulterated form of tobacco that is in the world. That's either imported into our country or exported out to others. Number 2 is that there is 200 pairs of hands, and some have said 300. And we're taking this information from an article that was written in Cigar Aficionado back in 2017. So I did hear 300 by Rocky Patel here recently on the Cigar Authority. But nonetheless, it takes a village, and there's all kinds of steps and all kinds of important information that comes during all that, as well as the money that it provides to the economy and the opportunity that it gives for earning wages and good wages, and actually jobs that are highly regarded in a lot of these impoverished countries. Number 3, tobacco undergoes fermentation. We spoke a little bit about fermentation and the likenesses and the the shared similarities of fermentation between alcohol and fermentation between tobacco. And in a lot of ways, there are several similarities and several lines that can be drawn with analogies of both. But so if you didn't catch any of those, you can go back through the archives of our YouTube page and or podcast pages, anywhere you get your podcast, and you can go back and check those out. We try to, first of all, we don't know everything, but we do have a desire to share the stuff we do know, and we also have a desire to try to find that information instead of just hopefully magically stumbling across it one day like a leprechaun in the moors of good old jolly Ireland. I don't guess that's really jolly in the motherland, jolly England. Who cares? Any rate, aging is important. So the aging tobacco plays a vital role both before and after the cigar is made. Not only is the fresh leaf aged before it's rolled into a cigar, but a newly completed cigar in most cases is then sent to an aging room where the tobaccos marry and the humidity levels of the cigar can stabilize. I've seen pictures of the aging rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, those rooms are in the 50s, in the 60s, sometimes even colder, to stabilize. And like they say, with the perfect humidity levels, perfect temperatures, so all of the peanut butter and the jelly can come together and make a cohesive unit and marry all those flavors, much like you'd marinate a piece of meat before you prepared it on the barbecue. Maybe some things take 10 minutes to do, other things take overnight or up to 2 days. So aging tobacco plays a vital role both before and after the cigar is made. Tobacco leaves are then aged after fermentation, and during the aging process, the leaves are packed up into tight parcels called bales, where they undergo a slow and steady breakdown of
carotenoids, which I looked up because I didn't know what the hell that was.
And what did you find?
Apparently, if we're saying it correctly, carotenoids is spelled carotenoids, is actually the pigments in the plant. So with pigment, creates color. Of course, pigment is color. And doesn't taste good, apparently. Especially, the green, the color, and of course, some of that's a desirable flavor, but apparently it breaks down the pigments and makes it more palatable. Basically, is what I read.
Yeah, so
fancy word for pigment.
The carotenoids, which helps to bring out the desirable properties in the tobacco. The aging also lends a bit of polish and maturity, helping to rid the tobacco of vegetal or green notes. Have you ever smoked tobacco that tasted like, freshly cut grass or maybe raw green beans?
Or freshly cut tobacco,
or
any kind of green weed,
or a canela wrapper.
Yeah, red arbok.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to rid by the aging process as well. That tobacco, the raw cut grass or the green grass or the canela wrapper, that tobacco has not been fully aged. So if the cigar smoke is more redolent of, say, almond, raisin, or maybe an orange blossom, it has definitely been aged properly. And there are several sticks out there that you get that almond taste. Of course, raisin. I would say raisin's probably more prevalent than.
Yeah, we talked about that. Any kind of that dark fruit like that is.
And almond as well, I guess.
Yeah. I get almond, that flavor on the front end.
Yeah.
Like it's the immediate, like for me, the almond comes up here in the front of my palate, and then the dark fruit's all in the back,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
the orange blossom is much more I take that much more. It's not citrus. It's definitely a little more sweeter and more distinguished than just a citrus taste. Because a lot of times citrus can also be confused with pepper, believe it or not. So I've been told. Maybe I've tasted it, maybe I haven't. Who knows?
That's interesting.
But I've heard that said several times by guys on the Cigar Authority.
I wonder if it's because of the bite of it, just the immediate.
Maybe so. Yeah. Maybe so. The initial, just the pucker factor or the shock of it, could be that.
The almond thing for me has always been one that, because they throw that out a lot. Almonds is one that they throw out a lot. And for me, because I'm used to eating almonds that are salted and roasted and whatever else, to me, the taste of the almond that I get most often is when you take a single almond and that first bite, that flavor. That's what I get when I hear almond, not, because one of the poisons smells like almonds. What is it, strychnine or the other one? I can't remember, but the almond, if you smell almonds, it's.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't ever heard that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I have, and I'm just a ghost sitting here doing this podcast.
Yeah. Cyanide. Smells like almonds.
Okay.
So if you smell almonds, so it's kind of but almond to me is a very, you would think it wouldn't be that complex a flavor because it's just a damn nut, right? But it is. It's pretty complex flavor, especially when you bite. You get a different flavor on the bite than you do on the chew.
Huh.
So to me,
well, I could, now that you describe it that way, I could see that. I will say this, if you're looking for something to, like if you're, let's say you're going to, a lot of times we'll do 2 or 3 podcasts in one day. We'll try to record because we only get together once a week. So we try to make the most of our time. And a lot of times in between, you see Jamie drinking water there, a soda water or a carbonated water or almonds, believe it or not, is a great thing to do in between if you're going to be smoking another cigar. Like today we recorded episode number 3 that we just talked about, and we're, still smoking the cigar that we had in there because they're just so damn good, and I didn't want to light up another one
or throw this one out.
But between the first one we had a cigar, and then the second one, and oftentimes we'll use a sparkling water or a club soda or something like that, or a handful of almonds or peanuts, something like that as well. And those oils and that carbonation will help cleanse your palate, so you can, you don't have that long finish of that other one, or as an example.
And for you beginners out there with the long finish, because as a beginner, a long finish, what we mean by that is that an hour from now, you're still tasting your cigar. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we'll hear a lot of beginners all the time, not to get too far off on a tangent, but here's the thing. When you first start smoking, you're like, God, how do I get rid of this taste or whatever? And as you get more experienced and learn to smoke slow with cooler smoke and whatever, you don't put as much shock on your tongue and on your palate. But I have found, like what you just said, that at the end, if I'm like, we smoked 2 today and back to back, if I go home, I'll take a handful of almonds. Something may have a little bit of salt on it, and eat that, man.
Those natural
really,
oils.
Yeah, it really cuts this out. So
yeah,
and citrus stuff as well. So
and then brush your teeth.
Yeah, that's a
and wash your ass.
Yeah,
don't be a nasty cigar bastard, would you?
That's right. And if you're brushing your teeth after you smoked, and your tongue is still numb or it's a little sore, you smoke too fast. Because what you've done is you've burnt your receptors up a little bit and you can't taste hot stuff.
Yep.
Real hot stuff. So that's something to gauge. If you go to brush your teeth after and you're like, oh, my tongue's a little, you smoked too fast. Okay. Rookie mistake. Anyway.
Either that or you got a speech therapist. There's a tertiary aging, we need to look that word up too.
Tertiary. Third aging process.
Look at you. God damn. Mr. Know-It-All. Look at the big brain on Jamie. And that's done by the consumer. Once the cigar is boxed up and sent to the shops, a consumer may wish to age the cigars even longer. There's oftentimes I definitely let mine, once I get them, I'll definitely put them into my humidors, and I would say 80% of the time, sometimes I just can't help myself and I want to smoke one right away. But most of the time, I let my cigars acclimate to what, the humidity and temperature that I keep everything here in the honky tonk. And then we touched on this in one of the earlier episodes, but there's oftentimes, Jamie's asked me, well, how was it? How was the, brand ABC? And I said, well, it's pretty good. I really enjoyed it, but I think it would really, be the cat's meow if it had maybe 6 months on it, or maybe a year on it. So that's obviously that's the personal taste. And there are some methods that you can do with cigars. Cigar Authority's got a really good episode, with Mr. Jonathan talking about an aging process and how to do it to where it would be basically almost like they do it there. And you can trick the cigar by temperatures and time spent in certain accommodations, and it will age the cigar in kind of a little bit more of a sped up process.
I haven't heard that. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean,
well, and it's something fun to experiment with. Well, yeah. Even if you took,
which is what this is all about.
Let's say you took a filler cigar, or that's not the right way, a humidor stalker cigar, because you got to keep X amount of cigars, right, in your humidors, or your humidor's not going to acclimate right, and it's not going to work properly. So it can't be just jam-packed completely full to the top, and it can't be, if it's 100 count, it can't just have 20 in it. So you got to find that happy medium of where your cigar humidor likes to live, and it will keep those temperatures if you've got one that's of quality. But where's I going with that? What was I saying?
We're talking about aging, the tertiary aging process.
Yeah. But there is definitely, so a lot of times we like the brand La Polina. We like I guess our favorite would be the natural.
Yeah.
And it's like a $2 or $3 stick. But with a little care, man, those things they're great for, I'm fortunate enough that I get to smoke a cigar if I want to in the mornings with my coffee. they're great with that. And they're not I don't have to worry about taking it out in the weather. I don't have to worry about it being too cold or too damp or too humid.
Or worry about not finishing it.
You're right.
Because it's $2.
Or if I'm going out and somebody hits me up who's not a cigar smoker or any kind of seasoned smoker at all, or maybe a newbie that wants to say, hey, I'd like to try something like that. Well, that's a very approachable stick that I like, that even a new person would like. So you keep things like that in your humidor to keep everything to where you can fly by your instruments and everything's acclimated. That's a perfect. You're not out a lot of money if you think you've screwed something up. But stuff like that is, until you get your system down, would be a perfect thing to try to maybe age a little more or do some experimental things with. So go check that out.
I've never had a cigar that got worse by leaving it in the humidor.
No.
They might, if you leave them in there for years, they could mellow out a little.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
once the cigar is boxed up and sent to the shops, a consumer may wish to age the cigars even longer. We just covered that. Similar to aging wine, this process helps to further dissipate any acidity in the tobaccos and allows it, time to mellow and provide more nuanced personalities to come through to the stick that you choose. So, is there a thing as perfect aging? You'd probably have to ask somebody smarter than me. But they say here, perfect aging is achieved when you bring a cigar to its absolute peak of flavor. And at peak, flavors are not only at their most balanced and most cohesive, but all of the undesirable qualities such as bitterness or harshness should be completely absent. A great cigar can age for decades so long as the temperature and humidity are stable throughout. But I will say, you can let them go past their prime.
Yeah. They have a peak.
They do have a peak.
Yeah.
That is
just like wine.
Yeah, that is true. And sometimes, and what that number is, I don't know. But if somebody kept something that was perfect, let's say it was a 20-year-old Monte Cristo number 2, it's probably not going to be that good, honestly.
Right.
After that long.
Right.
You're going to get past its prime. Can you keep it? Is it still smokable? Yes, and yes.
And it's a conversation piece. I've had this 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gave me one that was probably 12 years old, and I had passed that one of them along to a good friend, a mutual friend of both of ours. And, it was good, but it was probably, it could have possibly been a little bit past, compared to what it once was.
Well, those definitely mellowed out because when they first came out of the box, they put you on your ass.
Yeah.
To me, or they did me. But I think the most important thing especially for beginners, is that, the aging process, we don't have any control over what happens before it gets in your hands. But for me, I try to force myself most of the time, like you do, to put it in my humidor. And not so much to acclimate it necessarily because it needs it, but to make it acclimate like the rest of the stick, so I have a baseline to go from.
Right. That's a very good point.
If I know that I pull a La Polina out of my humidor that's been there 6 months, then the Padron right next to it or whatever else is in there, I got a baseline. They've been living in the same home. Okay. So, and you don't ever know what kind of condition or where they were kept before it got to you. Mm-hmm. You bought a box of Padrones that were several years old at a brick and mortar store, right?
Yeah.
that had been there for several years. And they're just fantastic.
I think they were 4 years by the time I got them. I think it had a 2020 date, and I bought them, well, did I buy them? Yeah, I guess it was earlier this year. It wasn't last year. But yeah, they were probably 4 years old. They were a Padron 7000 in the natural series. And, they just taste like opening a thing of raisins up and eating them. I mean, they're just really, really good.
Well, they don't have any misses. That is the prototype cigar company.
And I was looking for the Maduro, and these just happened to be the natural. But between the date that was on the box, the age that I knew they were, and the deal that they had made me, and then the fact that it was a Padron, I was just like, well, wow, man, I can't go wrong. I got to get those.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
And I am too. We've had several. I've passed a few along to you and some of the other boys. Some of the other guys that we know that are into the hobby, and I guess more than anything, it's just like a good example of what an aged cigar tastes like. So
yeah.
There are some caveats with aging cigars that, don't overage the cigar. Overaging can result in loss of flavor and body, as we just covered, making the cigar taste either flat or dusty or even musty to some degrees. And another thing to know about aging a bad sour cigar won't make it any better. It will just make it bitter and old. So,
and it matters in the process.
And I don't know so much about that.
Well, that's
I wouldn't wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that now bad is as bad is, but it's kind of like putting information into a computer, or if you start out with it, it's hard to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, right?
Oh yeah,
as the old folks say.
Yeah, I mean that's a tenet for life. If you start out shitty, you're probably gonna you got a lot of overcoming to do. But really, in music and recording, that's a big deal.
But if there's something there that you just can't quite put your finger on with the cigar you're smoking, and you're just like, there's just something a little off here or there. Just put them at the bottom of the humidor, or put them, maybe you have multiple humidors. I have multiple. I have one of the thermoelectric humidors. I've got, one over here, and then I've got several desktops that I've acquired over the years. Those also to somebody that I know is really into the hobby, or somebody that I really like. I pass those along as a gift for somebody they've already got a pre-seasoned humidor. They don't have to go through all that stuff themselves. But Connecticut's, I like it a little higher humidity. And that's is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. It's the way I like it. So,
well, I can tell you this much. With
what I mean?
Yeah. Since you said that, Connecticut wrappers are sensitive and fragile, and they are affected the most by too little humidity because they crumble and they'll flake on you. And then you've got a shitstorm. So,
and you'll get a split.
Yeah, you'll get a split. It'll get crunchy on you or whatever else. And as long as your temperature, it's a combination of things that invite mold and beetles. Yeah, it's a combination of too much humidity and high temp. Effectively, I've read, even in Cigar Aficionado, I read this. When they age cigars for a long time, like they have a section in every one of those in the back of cigars that are 50, 60, 70 years old, and they usually get a 99 rating or some shit like that. It would be ideal to put your damn cigar at about 50 damn degrees if you could pipe in enough humidity. Because at that temperature, you're not dealing with, certainly not going to deal with any kind of beetles infestation. Mm-hmm. So the problem is that most, and we have some electric humidors, and they are designed with refrigerant, because standard refrigeration pulls moisture out of the air in order to cool it. And that's why a lot of these humidors, if you're having trouble with your electric humidor, understand that your humidity is physically being pulled out of that thing, because most of them are wine coolers.
Yeah.
In order to cool it. So you got to pump more in there. So
I would recommend, and if you're looking at a thermoelectric humidor, I have the Need one. It's a 450 count, but it also has the heat and cooling. And I'm telling you, I don't know how many ever Boveda packs I've got in there now, and you can run it off of the distilled water and the system that it's got. But I've had them in there. I got that thing 2 years ago, maybe year and a half.
Yeah.
But I've never replaced the Bovedas in it. I mean, they're still good. And all I do, like if I'm running a little low, or if, I go over there and look at it one day and it's dropped down to 61 or 62 or something like that. I just hit the temperature button, go up about 2 degrees, and the next day it's 66, and it'll stay at 66 forever. Well, it got a little warmer this day outside than it did this, and I checked it. Well, they're up to 70 now.
Okay, cool it back down.
I'll cool it back down a couple of degrees, and it's just kind of it's just a little something to tinker with now. I'll say this, that shit can drive you nuts if you let it.
We need to do an episode on humidors.
For sure.
Because there's a lot of information out there that's complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever ruined a cigar with a humidor. I think that's something.
Unless you just were totally.
Well, if you set it out in the damn sun, leave the door open.
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean, this 70, we need to do an episode on that. But on the aging thing is that I'm with you. I'd highly recommend, if you buy cigars, you age them yourself and let them acclimate to your baseline. So it's important.
And there are theories as well, as sometimes, let's say you got a wooden humidor, which is lined with Spanish cedar. The longer you leave that stuff in there, the more cedar taste you're going to get. So aging it might not be the best in a cedar humidor for stick A versus stick B versus stick C. So, any rate, like Jamie said, that's a whole nother thing. But as far as the cigar industry goes, that's pretty much a short and simple, sweet breakdown of why aging is important.
Yeah.
From the manufacturer to your doorstep. So, if you got anything you want to add to any of that, feel free to.
Check out the other episodes before this.
Check out the other episodes beforehand. And if you've got any comments, please, again, comment down into the, put your comments down in the comment section. That'd be a good place for them to go.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Or email us at goodguyscigars.com or one more for the goodguys.com. Got a lot of really, really special things happening. We hope y'all do as well, but we've got something that we really want to talk to you about. December 22nd at 7 p.m. That's at the Bijou Theater. It's the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular.
Bijou Theater in Knoxville.
In Knoxville, Tennessee, yes. It's the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. It is it's a benefit show for the Second Harvest Food Bank of East Tennessee and the Food for Kids program. You're going to get to see a revolving door of local artists.
On stage and in the audience.
Yes, on stage and in the audience, and people that we have a great deal of respect and admiration for. We'll be sharing the stage. Jamie plays the piano and the organ in this said production and has since 16. Mm-hmm. Cubs won the World Series that year.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, once every 100 years ain't bad.
Yeah, well, we'll take it. We'll take it.
The Cubs have been in the series, won a series long. I mean, hell, it was 7 years before that for the Yankees won one. So they,
How the Yankees do this year?
Terrible.
Any rate,
terrible.
Doesn't matter how they did. We don't like them. He does. But all kidding aside, your $20 ticket, you'll see a bevy, a revolving door, like I said, of local musicians in the crowd, on the stage, of people that we really have a lot of admiration and respect for. And it's such a good cause, folks. 1 out of 8 kids go hungry here in rural East Tennessee. And the Food for Kids program works with 19 different counties and schools that cover those counties. So your $20 ticket price will create 60 meals for one hungry child. And if you were to bring, let's say you brought 4 more friends with you and you spent $100, you and your 4 friends will have fed a child for an entire year.
Yep.
Second Harvest has an amazing setup. They have about a 15,000 square foot warehouse up in Blount County, just south of us here from Knoxville. And they're able to buy in such bulk and such substantial orders that they can buy that cheap and do that much amount of good. The other great thing about Second Harvest Food Bank is they run at a 95% efficiency rate. So that means at least 95 cents out of every dollar is going to exactly what we're telling you it's going for. There's not big CEOs or scams that are going on to where people are getting paid all this inflated prices off the backs of the kindness of people like you that support these things, like a lot of other well-known and big-known profitable, I guess would be the right word, organizations do, that are running as what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, they're running under the guise of doing something good and actually padding people's pockets. And that Second Harvest Food Bank doesn't do that. There's no fluff whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, every time you say that you feed a child for a year, the thing about it is, and we talked about this on a previous episode, is that you don't understand that, most kids go hungry here by missing a meal, not missing 3.
Yeah.
So realistically, your $100 could feed a kid for much longer, certainly supplement their nutrition for longer than a year. I mean, you just don't realize how much your $20 goes. And you know what? $20 for this show is a hell of a deal. It's a 2-hour show, right? They sell drinks there. We got a lot of merch and stuff, and the band is good. The music's good. We have a really good time. So if you're not,
we're pros.
Yeah.
I've played in 28 different states and 6 different countries and got paid to do so. Jamie's been a professional musician for 20 plus years of your life.
30, really.
Yeah. And, you know, I would say if we just took the core 5 of us, I would say we have
150 years of experience.
Yeah, 150 years of professional music experience. So,
not counting the guests, not counting the supplemental people,
right?
And all the people behind the scenes that are doing stuff,
right?
So,
and you're also getting a chance to be at the Bijou Theater here in Knoxville, and that is our little jewel box. That's our little crown jewel box of the theater.
Yeah,
it seats 761 people.
It's our Ryman. That's what it is.
Yeah,
basically.
And we would like to do nothing more than to sell that out this year. We've been pretty close. We've not always been there. You know, we started out in the bar rooms, and it was a kind of a selfish way of just getting everybody that we knew as artists together at one time. In 2011, the Mayan calendar said the world was going to end. And the manager at Barley's came to me and said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "Sounds like we need to go out with a bang. We need to have a hell of a party."
Yeah.
So let's call everybody we know and have a family style band and a family style show and just sing Christmas music. So we did that. And then in the 4th year, I decided that I was going to make it a fundraising event for a benefit. And
it just exploded from there.
Yeah, so we're in year 12. The prices are the same. The good is the same. You know, you have the best lights, the best sound, the best theater, and in the city of Knoxville. You will not beat the Bijou. It's staff, it's sound, it's seats. There's not a bad seat in the place. Sounds great, and you'll have guys and gals up there that have 150 years worth of professional music experience, and we'll put you on a hell of a show. So,
and one thing that we don't really say enough is this: it's like, look, you don't have to come to support the cause.
No,
if you can't be there because it's holidays, or you just don't want to get out of the house,
or you're out of state,
skip 2 lattes that week and send $20. Yeah. That way you're going to feed a kid for, you know, like you said. And so you don't have to come to support. We'd like you there.
Absolutely.
But you can still do your part and send $20 for the cause. And that'll go right to the mouth of some hungry child.
Yeah.
So
all proceeds go to Second Harvest Food Bank, Food for Kids program, December 22nd. From 7 to 9 p.m., the 12th annual Mike McGill Christmas Spectacular. We'll have more information as we go forward. There'll be several commercials. There'll be several video messages. There'll be posts of all kind. Tickets go on sale to the public on November 15th. So Friday, tomorrow.
Yeah, we're from our filming point. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
so by the time this posts, tickets will be
they'll be wide
full
open.
Swing. And if you forget and you want to come the night of, and it's already sold out, and you still want to get in, you can sit next to me on stage.
There you go.
You know, we'll do whatever we can to pack that place out.
But at any rate, mark it on your calendars, December 22nd. It's a Sunday night. It's always the Sunday before Christmas. 7 p.m. at the Bijou Theater here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Again, we'll have QR codes for the people that are out of state or out of country that listen and or follow us on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube. And we'll be able to do a virtual fund drive that way.
Yeah.
And the money will go straight to Second Harvest. And another thing to keep in mind with all the catastrophe, catastrophic events and the catastrophe of the flood from the hurricane relief, more than ever, this program is going to be helping.
That's right.
Kids ask for a lot of things for Christmas, but they don't ask to go to bed hungry. So you can do something about that, and you can have a good time.
Yeah.
That's the other great thing about it. And listen to some Christmas music, you know, and not be a Grinch, not sit around, you know, hating stuff or
right.
being disappointed. Come out and have a good time. That's it. That's that. Jamie, you want to do another one?
Yep.
Folks, you heard it here first. That's one more for the good guys. Cheers. You either is or you ain't. You do or you don't. You can or you can't. Or you will or you won't. Either way, baby, a good man, well, he's hard to find.